You better stay outside. Ashley, go hide.
Yeah.
Anyone who's played a lot of video games will have a sixth sense for when a super tough boss fight is about to kick off. Perhaps the music gets suddenly extremely moody, there's a lot of health and ammo lying around, or you enter a large room that's weirdly bereft of furniture. But sometimes games play with our expectations of what a boss fight should be, serving up a confrontation with a villain that seems like it's going to be epic, but that amazingly ends with just one punch being thrown. Here are the weak sauce bosses that couldn't even handle one hit. Come on.
Mysterio?
Now I've seen everything.
Do not mock me, Huey Earthman! Your fate is sealed!
Run for your lives! Run for it!
Spider-Man villain Mysterio is a master of illusion, whose tricks include somehow seeing out of a golden fishbowl that obscures his head, and producing spooky theremin music from somewhere at all times. Spooky! But these parlour tricks are nothing compared to the genuinely alarming traps that Mysterio sets for everyone's favourite webhead in Spider-Man 2. Gaze in horror, for instance, as he fills this theatre with deadly flames and laser-firing drones. And that's before he has an armada of UFO ships take control of the Statue of Liberty, which you have to admit is the kind of Manhattan-bothering supervillain scheme that would have even Thanos raising an eyebrow in approval. And by the time Spidey is trapped inside a demonic carnival of Mysterio's own design, you're probably starting to take him seriously as a threat, seeing as he appears to have mastered gravity itself and is somehow generating funhouse mirror versions of our hero, whose slightly wrong dimensions look like my rubbish Teenage Spider-Man fanarts come horribly to life. As such, when you finally come face to face with Mysterio, you might rightfully expect a reality-bending boss fight for the ages, especially when you see his health bars fill up.
I will destroy you utterly. You will bear witness to the majesty and glory of my power.
And then, well, this happens.
Whoa! That was sick, dude! You rock so hard, Spidey!
Oh.
Yikes. We probably should have guessed Mysterio wasn't really a planet-destroying monster, considering we caught him holding up a convenience store. That's our bad. As the classy face of state-sanctioned murder, super spy James Bond knows a thing or two about travelling the world, taking down its toughest bad guys, and this holds true in James Bond 007, a top-down Bond adventure for the Game Boy. Early in the game, Bond is dispatched to Kurdistan to track down 008, who's mysteriously vanished. Bond finds that his fellow agent is being held captive by local baddie Iqbal. Although having defeated Iqbal in a tense battle, it turns out 008 is, quote, too weak to go on, and so Bond abandons him to his fate. Guess James didn't want to risk getting blood on his suit by carrying his friend to a doctor. Later in the game, Bond returns to Kurdistan, but it turns out by deposing Iqbal, he only made things worse for the locals, who now suffer under the rule of brutal rebel leaders, which is more political commentary than you'd expect for a game with only about 10 pixels. One such new leader is Sadam, and as Bond picks his way through the wreckage, he can see the charred remains of the big boss's handiwork. When you finally track him down, Sadam is revealed to be a walking tank who's quick to anger and even quicker to rip his shirt off. This despite the fact that one shot from any weapon will end the fight, and have Sadam begging for mercy. Great, now we feel bad. Although, hey, things are looking up. Turns out the rotting corpse of 008 has one of Q's inventions still on it. Best spy ever.
I'm gonna kill you! Then I'm gonna jumpstart your heart. And kill you again!
Batman is no stranger to unhinged villains, and you'd have to be pretty unhinged to think strapping a gigantic battery to your torso and running tens of thousands of volts down your arms is a good idea. And yet, that's more or less the Electrocutioner's whole deal.
Shocking.
You'll encounter this high-voltage villain in the bowels of a ship owned by Penguin, a ship that, like every classy cruise liner, features a fighting pit. And as rabid thugs bay for Batman's blood, it's clear that the stage has been set for a shocking showdown. Except that when the boss battle with the 6'2", 225-pound Electrocutioner begins, it goes like this. Yeah, having gone out for the count after taking just one hit from Batman, the world's easiest boss fight is over. Turns out the Electrocutioner should have considered some electrical defense around the jaw area, although that just sounds like a great way to get electrocuted in the face. Okay, maybe just rethink the whole deal.
Yo, Brandon. Gungrove
for the PlayStation 2 isn't a game that screams subtlety. Rather, it's a game that just regular screams because you've shot it full of 1,000,000 bullets. The game follows you, Grave, the one-time best friend of Harry McDowell, with whom you served in the Millennium organisation that controls the city. Only trouble is, since then Harry has carried out a coup against your mentor Big Daddy and killed you for not helping him. Now revived, you're on a quest for revenge, one that takes in plenty of surreal environments and larger-than-life bosses, but perhaps none are so weird as the one you face shortly before your confrontation with Harry, a mutated form of your old pal Big Daddy that Harry has cooked up for reasons best known only to himself. Yep, boss fights don't get freakier than this. Wait, what the hell is that? Okay, we take it back. Having battled first Big Daddy and then this head thing, you'll be well and truly pumped for the final confrontation with Harry, especially now that you know he's keen on mutating things. Which is why it's a bit weird that the long-awaited showdown involves Harry not moving or saying anything beyond asking you politely to shoot him, which, I mean, it must be a trap, right? That's this guy's whole deal. Alright Harry, we'll bite, let's get to the real boss fight. Oh. As anyone who's ever been fishing can tell you, the fish is the natural enemy of the earthworm. Well, fish, birds, moles, people who aren't looking when they're digging holes, direct sunlight. The point is, earthworms are fragile, so when we discovered that there was a boss in Earthworm Gym called Bob the Killer Goldfish, our guard was already up. Then there's the fact that Bob resides in a labyrinthine underwater lair, patrolled by his minions, huge hulking cats who are invulnerable and will clobber Jim senseless if he gets anywhere near them. Bob clearly has his shit together is what we're saying, so after a long arduous trek to his control room full of cat beatings, giant hamster rides, and the terrifying prospect of our submarine's glass cracking and us drowning... that noise still gets me to this day. After all that, we were ready for an epic showdown with this marine mastermind. That's when we remembered that while fish might eat earthworms, we're in a supersuit and he's in a glass bowl on a precarious pedestal. So long, fish idiot! Clearly incensed by his defeat in the first game, Bob returned in Earthworm Gym 2 vowing revenge, but his plan failed in one crucial way, failing to arm himself or get a supersuit of his own or do anything differently.
Fight! Fight! Fight!
Bad luck, Bob. Man, the only thing that could make this victory any sweeter is if I were congratulated by some talking cows.
Well done.
Earthworm Jim was weird, you guys.
But I was hasty. I let the bloodline flourish. And you have flourished. But this time is different. The last of the heroic blood will flow out onto this hilltop, just as it now spatters the walls of your family home.
It's always a big moment when you finally come up against an enemy you've had for a long time, and in Fable 2, you had one big enemy for years, Lord Lucien. As a child, you had a happy life, minding your own business, until a magical music box meant you caught the attention of the Lord in Castle Fairfax.
What do you want?
I work for Lord Lucien, miss, and he would very much like to see you in his castle.
However, while at first you and your sister were excited about maybe living there with him, instead he tests you both, sees you as a threat to his future plans, and, well...
I can't allow you to live either. I'm sorry.
Ouch! Painful in many senses of the word, and something that sets off your adventure to get back at him. You go through a lot to get to this guy, so when you finally find Lucien, only to be trapped and have him kill your dog and try to kill you again, it's a bit irritating. Fortunately for you, that music box is the means to finish him off, and you have the power to use it against him.
Your rewards are the opportunity to confront your enemy, and the means to destroy him.
Although initially impressed by your ability to just not die, his tune changes when you start to play yours.
What are you doing?
And the music box leaves him so weak that a single gunshot is enough to topple him off the top of the spire and kill him.
Crush.
Well, that was anticlimactic. The Hulk is famous for being many things, like green, a fan of elasticated waistbands, and the proud owner of truly sick delts. But what Bruce Banner's angry alter ego is definitely most famous for is being stronger than 20 Oxes, none of whom ever skips leg day. So it would make sense that if you wanted to stop the Hulk finding you and pummeling you into a smooth paste, you'd put your toughest baddies between him and you. And that's exactly what super smart Marvel villain The Leader has done in The Incredible Hulk for the Super NES. And so, as the green-skinned Hulk smashes his way towards his enemy, the crafty Leader makes sure he encounters terrible and tough boss fights, including Rhino, Tyrannus, and this huge brain for some reason. So after all that, you'd expect the final showdown with the Leader himself to be the most grueling challenge of all. You might expect the fight to include his army of invulnerable humanoids, or perhaps the Leader's fortress turning into a super weapon, but you probably wouldn't expect this. What's more, you don't even have to be the Hulk to defeat the Leader, who it turns out has a super secret weakness to being shot with a gun. So those were some of the villains in games who went down like a sack of spuds when we just so much as grazed them. Can you think of any we missed? Let us know in the comments if so, and if you enjoyed this then why not check out some of our other videos about weird bosses, and consider subscribing if you want to see even more. Thanks for watching!